Hello, it's Anna Hockett, and we are back for another episode of Happy Hour with Hockett. And today I'm very excited to have a very special guest with me, Meagan Thomas, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a second, but I have to do my weekly plug for the Colorado Springs Rising Professionals. Just to remind everybody, Colorado Springs Rising Professionals is an incredible organization here in Colorado Springs that either allows you to connect with others who are looking for the same networking opportunities that you are, or it might connect you to another organization that you might really want to get involved with, whether it's a nonprofit, a charity, a local business, like we highlight on this show every week. So check out Colorado Springs Rising Professionals, or CSRP, as it's known a little bit more often these days. And again, welcome to Happy Hour with Hockett. I am Anna Hockett. I've been in the Springs for about 3 years now. And I'm all about the good news, no matter what time in our country or in our world that we're dealing with. So I thought, what a great idea to talk to local businesses and see what great things are happening around Colorado Springs. So that brings me to Meagan Thomas. Now, Meagan and I connected, I think maybe 2 years ago on Instagram. Yeah. So this is a very exciting day for me because Meagan and I actually never met. And today we got to meet face to face, even though it's virtually, and I can't wait to plan many, many more things with her. But Meagan is owner and founder of Springs Native, as well as Single in the Springs. So I will let her explain a little bit more about who she is and what she does, and then we'll have a little toast and talk about the cocktails that we have.
Yes. So this is so exciting for me too. You're not my first internet friend that I've met. Even though this isn't in person, it still is kind of in person.
It is.
Some of my favorite friends that I have, I actually we kept chatting on Instagram, and then one day they were like, is it weird if we hang out? Can we go get coffee or beer or something?
Obsessed.
So I'm notorious for making friends off of Instagram. It's my favorite thing. So this is fun.
That makes me very, very happy, and it makes me feel a touch less creepy. Because the trainer I actually use is from an Instagram connection as well. So.
Well, and the thing that's funny is that, we hear about people guys sliding into people's DMs to try to hit on them. And it's I just slide into girls' DMs to try to make friends.
100. Clearly that's exactly what I do too. And I couldn't be happier about it.
So, Springs Native, I started it about 6 years ago. I love Colorado Springs. I grew up here. I'm Springs Native, obviously. And I left for college, went to school out in Kansas. And when I moved back, I just, I didn't know about any of the cool places. I would have friends invite me to go eat somewhere or drink somewhere. And I was like, I've never heard of this place. And so I made it my mission to find all of these wonderful places. But every time I'd find somewhere I really liked, it would close down within a couple months. And I was just like, well, if I'm finding these places and I have never heard of them before and they're shutting down, other people probably aren't looking for them and aren't able to find them. Right. And so if they had a resource to be able to, find these amazing locally owned businesses, they would be able to go to them. So that's how I came up with the idea for Springs Native, because at the time, there were no other food blogs. In fact, Rocky Mountain Food Report started just a few months after Springs Native did. And so really, aside from the Independent and the Gazette, there was nothing else available.
Wow.
And so it started off as a blog, and then it slowly turned into an Instagram thing, because Instagram got to be the thing that people do.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took off from there. I think the past 2 or 3 years, it's really been crazy. The first few years I would get some traction, but not as much. But the past 3 years, it's really been a big part of who I am and what I do. And, I go to all these restaurants all the time, and I know the owners, and I love helping them in any way that I can. But the thing that's hard going to all these restaurants and stuff is that oftentimes I'm invited to come in and do something, but I don't have a +1 to take with me because I'm single. Right. And so I go on, not as much anymore. I think I've been busier lately, but I used to go on a ton of dates, and I would come back and tell my coworkers these stories, and they would all be like, that's not real. That sounds crazy. You should write a blog about this instead of food, hence Single in the Springs was born. Originally, we were like, it should just be a website with bad dating stories. And then it was like, well, this would be better suited for like an audio telling type thing. And so hence the podcast.
That's amazing.
They kind of go along with each other. I always try to work with local businesses. Sometimes I do an event for Springs Native. Sometimes it's an event at a business for Single in the Springs. But yeah, that's kind of what my two things that I do is restaurants and dating.
I love it. And what better things to go together than, because especially if you're going on dates and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Well, I will tell you that and I'll tell everyone, my first experience, I guess, with Meagan was, I moved here from Chicago, which is a little bit different, right? Than
So I actually love Chicago though.
I do too. I was there for 10 years. So, one of the things I would say that I miss the most about Chicago are the amount of restaurants and the amount of, really good food and just the assortment, right? So I was so excited when I found Springs Native because I was already in a relationship. So, and Single in the Springs hadn't even started, I don't think yet.
No, we're Single in the Springs is just a year old.
Yeah. So back when you said that Springs Native started really popping up, that's like right when I got on board. Mm-hmm. So maybe I have something to do with it, but no. But no, I just was so excited. I said, oh my God, someone wants to talk about food in this city. And I got really, really excited about it. And I've been following all of your posts and stories and things like that ever since. And I'm so grateful for it because, no matter what your interest, I wouldn't consider myself a foodie, but I just like a really good meal and I love a great restaurant experience. So I've really, really enjoyed all of your feedback and all of your, reviews of these different places and super authentic. And I was like, again, I just thought I need to be friends with this chick because here we are. So, since this is happy hour, we have cocktails. We both have cocktails with us. I will quick share what mine are because I have multiple.
You have a few.
I have many, many cocktails in front of me right now. So first off, I went to Streetcar opened last week again for takeout. And they do some really cool craft cocktails. So I will share a few that I got for takeout. Now keep in mind with a lot of the takeout options, you guys, you have to order some sort of food item as well. So this one is called, I have a little cheat sheet here.
That's Spa Day?
Smooth Operator. Oh. And this is 291 Fresh, which is another local distillery. So I think 291 pretty well, don't you, Meagan?
They're my jam. I don't play favorites, but maybe they're my favorite.
I'm like, I feel like I've seen you talk about how great 291 is, and I can attest to that. So this is called Smooth Operator. It's 291 Fresh. It's cucumber juice, lemon, lime, simple syrup, and lavender syrup. And it's unbelievable. Very, very fresh. Let me get into my next one here.
Okay, what's that?
This is either going to be the best happy hour or the most sloppy by the end of it here. This is called.
I want that.
This is a Blackwater Crush. So look at this. This is bourbon, muddled berries, lemon, mint, and a little bit of simple syrup.
Oh, that's a Meagan drink. I want that.
Oh yeah.
That was delicious.
Also excellent. My husband's going to come in here and be like, what are you doing? 3 drinks at a time, 4 drinks at a time. And then this one is a Ruby Soho. This is strawberry infused vodka, rhubarb, and mule. So it must be, or strawberry infused vodka, rhubarb, and it must be ginger beer, I would assume. So
yeah.
This would be dangerous on a patio this summer.
Love a good porch pounder.
I know, right? And then this is what I got hooked on last week. This is called a Spa Day.
Okay, that's the one that I thought the other one was.
So yeah,
they have the cucumber in the same color.
Very similar. So the other one, let me show you quick. The Smooth Operator. This is the lavender syrup on the bottom. This was the to-go cup. I just couldn't fit it in my cup. And they will do ice or no ice. And then this one is the Spa Day, which is dill infused gin, juniper simple syrup, cucumber juice, lime, and salt. So I think that this one's really healthy.
Of course it is. It's got a cucumber floaty in it.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
So those are my cocktails for today. Meagan, what are you drinking?
Okay, so I'm keeping it super simple. I have a gin and tonic. It doesn't look like it. My ice started to melt because it's really warm in my house.
Well, that's
Gin and tonic with, of course, Lee Spirits gin, always.
Would you recommend?
Oh, highly, highly recommend. I just went with the regular gin today just because I wasn't feeling anything like fruity or anything like that. But they also have a really, really delicious strawberry ginger gin.
Ooh.
Their lavender gin, I love to put in a mule.
All of it sounds great.
But I also really love, they make this cocktail. It's my favorite. And I actually bought everything to make it because I love to make it so much. Their aviation, they make their own creme de violet. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite, one of my favorite cocktails of all time. I'm not a big, I like rye whiskey straight. I like maybe an old fashioned. I'm not huge on all the different cocktails, but an aviation, like absolutely my favorite.
So what's in an aviation?
So it's dry gin, creme de violet, lemon juice, maraschino liqueur, and I want to say simple syrup, but typically I just put extra maraschino because I'm lazy.
And that's sweet, right? So
yeah, and it's like, and I always put a little bit of extra lemon juice as well, just because I like that tart.
Well, when this is all over with and we can see each other in person, I will allow you to make me one of those.
Yes, you can come over. I just got new patio furniture.
Even better.
I'm ready to sit on my patio and drink some.
I love it. I'm in. Okay, so let's talk about well, first we have to do a little cheers because that's what we do on the show.
How do we do this?
Cheers. Oh man, that's good. That's the smooth operator. That's delicious.
I should have put more ice in my drink. I feel like I'm drinking. It's a little watered down now, but that's okay.
Just straight gin and tonic. I don't put ice. So tell me about, well, let's start with Springs Native and then we'll get into Single in the Springs a little bit more. How did you really start it? And is this is full time for you? Tell me a little bit about that story.
So it's not full time for me. It was starting to be like fully part-time right before all of COVID happened.
Okay.
So, it's really hard for me to make money when restaurants aren't making money and when I can't host events.
Right.
So really, I'm not making money off of the blog right now, which was never my goal. And I think that's what makes it so successful. Is my goal with Springs Native, first and foremost, always, is that it is meant to help and support local businesses. So you will never see a bad review on Springs Native. Okay. In fact, when restaurants sometimes invite me in to eat and they're like, well, come in, we'll comp it for you, no big deal. I always let them know I would love to come in and I would love a comped meal because quite frankly, like this is an expensive venture. Like
absolutely.
I have to pay for everything. So, and when you go out to eat that often and when you're trying different things, it can really add up. So if someone offers me a free meal, of course I would be glad to take it. But I always preface it by saying, listen, I don't want you to feel like I'm ripping you off. If I enjoy it, I'm obviously going to post pictures. I'm happy to tell people about you. Maybe I'll write a blog post. However, if I go in and you comp my meal, but I don't like the meal I get or I have problems, number one, I will always tell you about them. Yeah. And most restaurants, I would say probably like 98% love the feedback because I tell it to them to their face. I say, listen, hey, you could improve by doing these things. I like this. However, if you did this, it would probably be better. It would be more approachable. Because I do think that sometimes, I think especially at bars too, we're so used, and I say we as if I'm a part of the food industry, which I do consider myself a little bit because I'm so enthralled in it. But you sometimes forget what the general public likes. And while I like to drink whiskey neat all the time, for most people who maybe don't drink whiskey very often and they're a new whiskey drinker, they're not going to like a very heavy poured menu or a menu where you can taste the alcohol and everything. Some people want a sweet wine rather than a dry wine. Right. I personally would rather not drink than drink a sweet wine. But you have to keep in mind that there's consumers who don't have this crazy palate. They want to drink what they'd like. Actually, that's why I love Lee Spirits is Carlos over at Lee Spirits. he loves sweet drinks, and he always says, drink what you like. Don't try to drink like a dry martini if you don't like the taste of gin.
Right.
Have a cocktail that tastes good that you're gonna enjoy. Why would you try to drink something you don't like? So I talk to them about their menus and try to make it more approachable. And they can take that feedback and adjust, or take it and say thank you and talk about it. I've only had one or two people who are kind of like, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's fine. You know, that's okay. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just giving you feedback that will hopefully help your business. I'm never there to tear anyone down.
Absolutely.
Then from there, it's that if I don't like it, I'm not going to post pictures just because you gave me a free meal.
Okay.
The reason my followers follow me and trust my opinion is because I give them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, maybe some places aren't always on their A game. I mean, there's plenty of times that I've been to a place that I really love that I was like, this wasn't very good today.
Right.
But for the most part, they are. And as soon as I let them know, they're so responsive in saying, you know, like, well, what was we like, asking details so that they can fix the problem for other customers. And so sometimes I will have people comment something super negative on my posts. And when they do, if they're asking questions and they're like, oh, I had a bad experience, I always say, just DM me. I'm happy to tell you the truth in private and talk to you. I never would say it in like a mean way, but I do avoid saying anything negative. There's plenty of other outlets for you to get that negative feedback. We don't need one more person tearing down restaurants that are, you know, already having a hard time.
Absolutely. I think that that's really important and good for everybody to know that, like, hey, this is as authentic can get. And this is the way that I choose to do it, or in the way that the public has really adhered to. I mean, tell me about your membership and the people, like your blog, as well as the Instagram stuff, like how that has gone up. Cause I've seen it go up in the last 2 years a ton.
Yeah. So when I first started, you know, it was like, when I first started the first couple of years, it was like 500 people, 1,000 people. And then I would say in the past, like 3 years, it's been about 5,000 to 6,000 people in growth. Maybe more like 6,000 to 7,000 in the past 3 years. So, I try not to worry about the followers, because again, that's not what it's about. Right. Is it like good to know that those people follow me and recognize me and appreciate my opinion? Of course.
Yeah.
And of course I feel good, and I'm really excited when I hit a new, you know,
like 10,000, that must have been a good day, right?
It was a really good day, and it's really exciting. But I also try not to dwell on it, because there's also people who comment and they're like, could you be more unprofessional? And it's like, you know what, that's fine. The reason the people follow me is because this is who I am. I cuss when I talk, and I try to avoid it when I shouldn't, but I cuss when I talk on my Instagram stories. Sometimes I drink a little bit too much and post on there, which now that I'm older, I don't do as often. But let me tell you, about 4 years ago, it was a wild ride when you followed me.
That's amazing.
There were times when I woke up and was like, I should probably delete what I posted last night. My story.
Well, and I would imagine that can happen, especially if people are encouraging you to try all these different drinks and, you know, small bites of food, but I can understand how that could happen very often.
Yeah. And so I just try to be myself. Like, this is who I am. Some days I'm wearing a lot of makeup and I'm wearing high heels and I'm out at the Broadmoor living my best life because I love the Broadmoor. But also, just because I love the Broadmoor doesn't mean I don't like going through the Alfonso's drive-thru and eating a taco on my drive home. Like,
of course.
Like, there's nothing I love more than a La Casita bean and cheese burrito.
Good to know.
So it's like, you got to find balance, and this is who I am. And I try to make sure that when I talk about these places, it's relatable to everyone, whether you're high class, high taste, or low budget. Maybe you're just now trying to explore the craft cocktails for the very first time.
I love that, though. That's like you're meeting everybody where they're at, or where they need to be, or where they want to be. And if they want, you know, like you said, I think that the big thing about the honesty piece is, you know, when I first moved here, I thought every glass of wine was the cheapest thing I've ever seen in my life, because I was used to really big city prices. But that doesn't mean that, like, I can't go to the Broadmoor and enjoy a little bit better of a glass of wine, or, you know, wherever. I think that's great. So I'm so excited because, like I said, I've been following you for a long time, and this is like a little girl crush of mine to get to talk to you and hear about your story. And then, last year I see you come up with Single in the Springs, this other amazing idea. Now, like I said, I have been very fortunate to not be single in the Springs, but I
Aren't
was
you
thinking,
lucky?
well, and I also moved here for the man that I married. So,
Fair.
uh, but so tell me about that and how so you already kind of shared how Springs Native kind of led you into Single in the Springs, but tell us a little bit more about Single in the Springs and what the goal of that is. And
So, oh, go
just,
ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
I was
Okay.
just going to say, tell me about it.
Okay, so Single in the Springs is, I guess it's more exciting to me because it's just a lot more interactive with my audience. Springs Native is more interactive with the restaurants.
Okay.
Single in the Springs is more interactive with my audience. And so Single in the Springs, we have an Instagram that we post on sometimes. We'll do Instagram Live sometimes. I have a host with me, Madeline Hopner. So I used to teach fitness at Pure Bar. I was a fitness instructor there, and Maddie was one of my clients, and right now she has a boyfriend, but she used to go on a lot of dates. We're talking multiple dates in a day. And I would just be like, what? I can't even meet one person I want to go on a date with. How are you going on all these dates? And so when I was kind of putting together my ideas for Single in the Springs, I was just like, this girl she should be my co-host. I like her. She's my friend. She goes on a lot of dates. We're
Dating a lot. Yeah.
We're alike in terms of we both appreciate nice things, but like she's a little bit more outdoorsy. I'm a little bit more not outdoorsy. So,
Indoorsy.
So we're a good fit. So, I like approached her about this time last year and said, hey, do you want to do this with me? She said yes. And so we launched in September, and our goal at first was just like, you want to make light of it. I think the thing that's hard is in Colorado Springs, most people are already married or moved here for their significant other, or they, moved here for the military and they got married really young, or they're in a really serious relationship. And you can feel really alone being single here. And it's getting better now that younger people are coming and staying.
Right.
But it didn't always feel that way. And so we wanted this to be a way where it was like, you commiserate together. You're not alone. Other people are going on shitty dates. Am I allowed to say that word?
All good. All good.
Other people are going on bad dates too. And had to censor myself. I have a potty mouth.
I get it. I get it.
So other people are going on bad dates too. And you don't want to feel alone in it. And I was just like, why are all of my friends finding someone and I am not? Like, I feel like I'm a catch. Why can't I find someone who I like too, who wants to date me? And so I also just have some hilarious dating stories that are like unbelievable. So we were just like, let's do it. Let's talk about it. We could talk about what's difficult about dating in Colorado Springs, all those things. But with that, we also want to provide a solution, because part of the problem is that aside from online dating, there's really not a place where you go to meet people in Colorado Springs.
Right.
There's not like, if I wanted to have a girls' night out and wanted to go meet guys, I don't know there's nowhere that I would say like, this is the place to go. And so we were like, well, if we have events, people can come to them and know that everyone there is single.
Yep.
That makes it so much easier to go and talk to someone, because they're not going to be like, oh, well, I have a girlfriend, or, oh, I'm married. Like, that they're also looking to meet another single person.
For sure.
Worst case that happens is you talk to them and then you never see them again. Right. Or you see them at another event, and that's okay. You don't have to feel weird about it.
And like, your events are really cool. I've never been,
so fun.
because they're like focused on single people, but like, I'm always like, wait, should I pop into this thing? Because it sounds.
I have some friends who aren't single the way that we do it is everyone wears bracelets. So
okay.
Wear a green bracelet if you're single.
Okay.
So for our normal, like our regular usual events, we have 3 bracelets. Green means single, yellow
okay.
means LGBTQ.
Okay.
And then if you're single, obviously you would still wear green, but I don't know why you'd be there if you weren't. And then red is not single, you're just here to wingman someone.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, then I'm
So,
going to come to one of your events because it sounds
yeah,
like a
I have
blast.
friends who come. They like think it's so much fun. But we also started doing LGBTQ specific events because what we realized was that our events were mostly straight people, and it just was. It's already so hard to get the courage to go to one of these events, and then to go and there's only 5 to 10 other people who are LGBTQ, and then from that only half of them are probably interested in you,
right?
Because you're not the type
right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that has to be so hard. And so we did our first LGBTQ event at the Happy Tap off of 8th Street where Smiling Toad used to be. Love them, by the way.
Okay.
And it went really well. We had about 35 people show up.
Wow.
Which was pretty good for that one.
Yeah.
And then one of our events we did at Phantom Canyon, this one was just our regular event. We had about 125 people.
That's a lot, Megan.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
It's our goal is to bring people together. We also want to take away that stigma of it's embarrassing to be single and to be looking for someone.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to tell people that they're going to a singles event.
Right.
Like on Facebook, they won't put they won't put that they're going or interested because they don't want people to know that they're going to a singles event. And it's like, well, why? Good for you for trying.
I was going to say, like, way to put I think it takes guts to do it, and it shouldn't, but at the same time, it's like, when I was single, I would do anything that I could to try to put myself in a position to meet somebody else.
Yeah. You would think that this would help me find a boyfriend, but.
Well, maybe this show will help, Megan. You never know. I think it's so great. I don't want to continue to turn it back to Colorado Springs Rising Professionals, but it's really similar, honestly, because you're trying to connect people with whether it's restaurants and delicious dining experiences, and help them organically grow their business.
Right.
Or trying to help folks who are single and just want to meet somebody. Get connected. And that's really similar to what this whole thing is. And that's why I joined it, is because even though I've been here, I travel for work a lot, or I used to travel a lot for work. And it's not the same thing. It's just different to try to meet people, especially, it's like you said, it's growing and it's wonderful and we love it here. And I love it here. Like I couldn't be happier that I live in Colorado Springs, but I think it really helps to have some sort of a networking group or a reason to get together, and then you never know who you're going to meet. And that's where, like, the beauty of any of these types of things is it's all about community, right? And that's what we're trying to embrace and grow and things like that.
Right. And I actually have been involved in the Rising Professionals for years now. I took a little bit of a hiatus last year. I just was feeling really overwhelmed and busy, and I just needed to concentrate on growing my new business and finding out where Springs Native was going. But I've been telling myself I actually need to renew my membership and rejoin now that I've got things under control and I feel like I'm ready to be able to go to events and stuff. It just was one of those things where I was feeling so overwhelmed that I was like, I felt guilty paying for a membership and not going to anything.
Of course.
And so now that I'm like got it under control, I love Rising Professionals. It helped me make a lot of my friends in the business community who are, your age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are in different industries that you can learn more about or pick their brains or ask them questions.
Right. I mean, but that's where it's like, I think that the goals of Springs Native as well as Single in the Springs are very similar. We're all looking for a community and hoping to embrace and broaden our community and the reach that we might have, whether it's personally or professionally. And I think that's super great. So there's one more question I have to ask, and we're almost out of time. So I know that, and this is something I hate bringing up, but I feel like I have to on these interviews, is like, how has life changed for you, and what can we do to continue to support your businesses and to continue to interact with you throughout this situation that we found ourselves in?
For sure. So it's been hard. My full contract, like my business that I usually get most of my income from, is on hold indefinitely. So I essentially lost my job. But I started helping someone with their social media just because I was like, I have all this extra time.
Right.
And so that has really helped his business to take off. And I've been helping him with PR and marketing and operations and kind of doing a little bit of everything. So for now, that's helping me to pay the bills and like, I'm okay.
Yep.
Not where I thought I would be this time this year, but you know, you win some, you lose some.
For sure.
Springs Native, you know, I've used the past couple months again to kind of figure out where I was moving forward with my life in general. And in the past few years, I really haven't been writing on Springs Native as much as I just am posting photos to Instagram. So I have really reorganized. I'm having actually a new logo that I should be able to debut in the next month or so.
Exciting.
And I'm going to kind of resituate myself to blog again and actually write again and be a resource on a website and not just on Instagram.
Okay.
So people can, you know, follow me on Instagram, tag your friends, tag me in photos you take of places that you like, you know, tell these businesses you heard about them from me. Those things are all helpful things that help me to know what content you're looking for, what you like, and to help businesses know that you found out about them from me.
Absolutely.
And then with Single in the Springs, we had to take a little bit of, we had planned to actually double down on our recordings. During COVID, we were just going to Zoom and do 2 episodes a week.
Okay.
But the audio on Zoom was just so bad.
Yeah.
For the podcast purposes. You know, when it comes to a video, it's a little bit different. But the way that it was sounding when we pulled it to edit just the audio, it just wasn't very good. And so, at least not compared to our other episodes.
Yeah.
So we did 1 Zoom episode and then decided that we would just take a little bit of a break, get through this, and then restart. So we recorded our first episode for 6 weeks last night.
Oh, that's
and
exciting.
So we'll post that today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll restart doing all of those. We also are going to do a really cool virtual online dating experience. And I think we're going to call it Springs Dating in the Dark.
Love it.
So it's going to be like Zoom. Everyone's going to submit their application.
Okay.
And we're going to break it up into like however many people. And then we are going to, when we do the Zoom call, you use only your first name. You don't do your last name.
Okay.
And it doesn't show your photo. So think like Love is Blind.
That's literally what I was thinking.
So we're going to do it that way. And then it's going to be similar to speed dating though, is the first one, you're going to talk to everyone for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right. It's going to be one night. Everyone goes through and talks to everyone for like 5 minutes. You decide out of however many people you talk to, you know, you narrow it down by a few people. So then the next night, everyone talks to these little amount of people. And then at the end, you get 3 people and you get to reveal what they look like and who they are.
We're going to need some sort of a follow-up on this because I need to know how this goes.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the details of how it's going to work.
Sure.
And we got the idea because there's some cities that are doing like Denver is Blind and some other stuff. And we're like, okay, well, we want to name it something else. And because we want to be able to keep doing it potentially after this is all over.
Absolutely.
And we want it to be fun, but we also don't want it to be like, well, this person doesn't look good on camera, so I'm not wasting my time.
Exactly.
Like, that's rude, number one. But also, like,
But this is like really cool. Dating in the dark. I love it.
Yes. So we'll see how it goes.
So you're making things happen, right? It sounds
trying.
Like.
I am looking for social media clients, or marketing clients, operations clients. I mean, people who need someone to come in and help them kind of reorganize, take a look at what they're doing and how they could better reach their audience. Like, I'm here looking for people to work for. You know, I'm not taking any full-time clients right now, obviously, because I have a couple smaller clients.
Yep.
But someone who would be, you know, 10 to 20 hours a week, totally looking for that. So
wonderful.
well,
Absolutely. Well, we'll make sure that we tag you in everything where we post this, both on YouTube, Instagram Live, or Instagram TV, Facebook, all
Great.
this different stuff. And Megan, it was such a pleasure to have
It was
you
so nice to see you in person.
and to hear your story. I think that that's one of the things that we're trying to do, or I'm trying to do with this whole thing, is to allow people that have inspired me to tell their story. And I mean, there's so much bad news around right now. Like, let's keep the good news coming and continue to be inspired, especially when there's so many around this local community that are right outside our front door, right?
For sure. I totally agree.
Well, I'm so grateful you came on today. Let's do one final cheers here.
Cheers. I'm almost done. How many?
Thank you. Yeah, I almost am too, but I got 3 more to go here. So thank you so much again. And to everybody that's tuning in, thank you so much for joining us today. Check out Springs Native at Springs Native on Instagram and at Single in the Springs on Instagram. This is Megan Thomas and I'm Anna Hockett. Thank you for joining us with Happy Hour with Hockett today, and we'll see you soon.